There's no identifying information on this photograph. We don't know who the family is or when they lived. We can be pretty sure that they are American. We assume that this photograph was taken in the late 1800s or the early 1900s. But this is the most fascinating looking family. The father, of course, grabs your attention instantly. I think he probably wasn't a kind man. He's got a face full of barely contained rage. I suspect he was the man who blamed everyone else for his troubles. His wife, his children, anyone he heard speaking a language other than English. I suspect he's a violent man. You can't really see his hands in this photograph, but I suspect that they are scarred and bruised. He is probably not an easy person to be with. And then there's his oldest son, who I like to think his name is Elmer. And Elmer is a lot smarter than his father, but he's learned all the same lessons. Instead of being full of white-hot rage, he is full of icy, cold determination. The other students at his school who are high-achieving and look like they might outshine Elmer suffer mysterious injuries and withdraw their participation from competitions. Elmer never smiles, but he's always calmly succeeding in life, usually due to the mysterious failures of his peers. And then there's the mother. I like to think that her name is Gloria. In her youth, Gloria was a serious girl, a reader, a scholar, but she was kind and she was easy to be around. When she was a young woman, she fell deeply in love with a kind young man until he was driven away by her father and she was married off to this man. Gloria thought that she could change him. Gloria thought that by bringing kindness into his world, she could slowly bend him away from anger and violence. And in truth, after 15 years in a loveless marriage with a brutal man, she has found herself getting colder and colder. Her resolution to devote her love and attention to her children has been twisted sideways. In her attempt to bring out the best in her daughter, she has become a demanding and nagging woman. She has actually made her daughter's life miserable. The daughter herself, though a pretty girl, constantly struggles with self-doubt. And she expresses that self-doubt by mercilessly bullying other girls. She does her very best to not just hurt or humiliate other girls, but if she senses weakness in any of her peers, she works hard to derail and ruin their lives. She spreads rumors. She makes threats. And again, mysterious accidents happen to the people around her. But all this pales in comparison with the baby of the family, this young boy. He rarely, if ever, speaks. He's 6 or 7 years old. He should be speaking, he should be laughing, he should be playing, but he largely sits glowering in silence. And over time, his teachers have gone from being concerned to being nervous to being terrified of him. Other children give him a wide berth. Even animals, dogs, cats, nervously stay away from him. In fact, the pets, the dogs, the cats of the neighborhood have been mysteriously disappearing in recent months. It's unclear whether they're just so afraid of this boy that they go somewhere else where they feel safer, or if something more sinister is at play. Now, of course, this is all conjecture. This family could be incredibly kind. The fact that they look so stern and unforgiving might not actually indicate bad intentions. They could just be exhausted from going out into the community and doing good works. They might have just returned from overseas working as missionaries, where they raised money and clothed and fed the poor. Maybe the reason the mother looks so concerned is she's worried about whether her children have suffered from them living in that leper colony for 6 months. The young child, he might not be evil. He might just be thoughtful and thinking about how he can make life better for the people around them. But I don't think so. Now, we're all big fans of a lot of different strong tastes. We like sweet. We definitely like salty. Every once in a while, we need to lean into something that's a little bitter. So, this, remember the alimony, starts with 1.25 ounces of Fino sherry. I full confession here, I don't even know what Fino means. But we're going to start with 1.25 ounces of the sherry. And then the magical ingredient, it's called cynar. As you can tell from the label, it's made from artichokes. And as soon as we get the lid off, come on. It's a bottle cap. You're not pulling a sword out of an anvil. Come on. There you go. And we're going to do the same amount, 1.25 ounces of cynar, which is going to add a real backbone of bitterness to this. And then, yes, let's put that back on because it would be a pity if it were not bonded to the bottle. Anyway, okay, so let's take the lid off of this one. Wait, huh? Oh, right. Okay, anyway, 0.75 ounces of London dry gin. And that's it. Now, we're using a mixing glass rather than a cocktail shaker. We want to get this completely chilled and even a little bit diluted. Yeah, just kind of listening to the sounds of the universe there. But we don't want to aerate it. So we're going to stir it thoroughly but gently. And decant it into a rocks glass. And just because the ice that we just used to chill it down is a little tired, let's add a couple of pieces of fresh ice. There we go. And if I had to guess at the smell, it gets a little bit of raisin notes from the sherry. Okay, this is interesting. It's a little bit bitter, and then that's evened out by the sherry, which is a little bit sweet, and then it's got a long tail of bitterness. Not like scrunch your face up and make you pound on the table to get it down bitterness, but enough to make you think a little bit, about life and stuff.